Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Stock Market Today. It's Coram and Ken Shreve here with a breakdown of the action in today's session, where we saw stocks light up a big fire with a rally after Fed Chair Powell's comments. The market liked the sound of what he had to say, apparently. Ken, and the NASDAQ had a nice day of outperformance.
Well, yeah, the 10-year Treasury yield got all the way up to 3.8%. Looking at it now, it's at about 3.64%, down 11 points. So bond yields really turned lower. The U.S. dollar also turned lower. So that's good news for the stock market. And he spoke at the Brookings Institution today, and I listened to a good portion of the speech and didn't really hear a whole lot new. The minutes that we saw recently, talked about the Fed that is, going to be vigilant against inflation, and Chairman Powell. I thought it was interesting that he mentioned the October CPI report that we saw recently, but he, looking at Jed Graham's story, he said it will take substantially more evidence to give comfort that inflation is actually declining. So listen, bond yields lower. He did acknowledge that the pace of rate hikes is going to slow. That's what we heard from the minutes. So the market right now thinking 50 basis points in December, maybe another 50 basis points in February, or 25 basis points. But certainly a very positive response by the stock market today.
Absolutely. And we're going to check in on a couple of stocks as always on tap. We've got Rambus, Insulet, and KLAC. So we'll get to those. But first, let's take a look at the major indexes. The NASDAQ up 4.4% today, leading the gains. We had the S&P 500 up 3.1%, also a strong showing. We had the Russell 2000 up 2.4% today, and the Dow gained 2.2%. So strong days all around, Ken, and it looks like where we saw the NASDAQ finish here just shy of 11,500. That puts it very close to where we saw in mid-November.
Very compelling move by the NASDAQ today. We did get some volume. Looks like it's going to be nicely higher than what we saw from Tuesday. So I think we can say that the market's technical picture definitely improved. It's not like it was bad headed into today. But we were able to halt a little losing streak here. So impressive performance for the NASDAQ. S&P 500 also impressive because it did not have a whole lot of trouble here. That's kind of right at that 200-day moving average. Actually closed a little bit above it, and also saw higher volume on the NYSE today as well. So seemed like a day of accumulation. We talked about some of these headlines that this market still has to digest, including the personal consumption expenditure index tomorrow. That's part of the personal income and spending report. And then Friday we've got a jobs report. So we'll see what things look like by the end of the week, but certainly encouraging price action today.
Exactly. Yeah. When you talk about hurdles, we want to see cleared not only these recent highs, but that 4,000 level. We also got above the 200-day line, as you mentioned, with the S&P closing at 40.80, that 200-day line at 40.50. So it looks like we're pretty close now to that 4,100 level. And there's some congestion coming up ahead. But I mean, to see the S&P getting above that 200-day line, let's see what it looks like on the weekly chart. I mean, if we closed here, this would mark the first close above the 40-week line in many, many months. Last time we saw that for the S&P was this spring. But I guess the question is, can we keep it up from here?
Well, listen, I think the market is very encouraged by the fact that it is seeing the end of rate hikes by the Fed. So this terminal rate that the Fed has been talking about, probably now closer to 5%. But we go up 50 basis points in December. That's going to raise that Fed funds rate to 4.25% to 4.5%. So you don't have a whole lot of room to go to get to this terminal rate of 5%, maybe 5.25%. So maybe this market is encouraged encouraged that rates are gonna stop going up. The question is, and as Powell mentioned in his speech, today, their policy is going to have to stay restrictive because, again, he was encouraged by that cool reading on consumer prices earlier this month, but he knows that inflation still could be sticky. And question is, how long is that Fed funds rate going to stay at in that 5% area until the Fed pivots and actually starts cutting rates? That could still take a while and not much visibility there. But certainly looking at the market today, it's encouraged by maybe the fact that rate hikes are about to come to an end.
And one more note on the significance or potential significance of this 200-day line is that not only has it been a key either resistance level in the past for numerous major indexes, but it's really once we get above that level and stay above that level historically that we really see market rallies kick into high gear.
Yes, and like we mentioned this morning on IBD Live, what the market has going for it is this, this 10-year yield that is starting to live underneath the 50-day moving average. Like I said, it was recently around 3.64%, and then we also had some weakness in the U.S. dollar again today. UUP reversed lower here. So these again work in favor for the bulls. But I think we'll still see some volatility. I mean, heck, we could see volatility tomorrow if this PCE deflator moves higher than what is expected. So I think we can expect more volatility ahead. But we have to respect the market's action today. We were in a confirmed uptrend before today's explosive gains. I know there's a lot of people out there that's very lightly invested, but as we've been saying, if this is an uptrend that really is going to gain traction, the crop of stocks to buy should continue to increase and shouldn't be too hard raising exposure. But and we're looking to do that for leaderboard for sure.
No doubt. All right, well, let's take a look at some stocks to watch, including Rambus in the semiconductor sector. Looking strong here with a gain of over 3% today, some above average volume. And it didn't even pull back to its 21-day line, Ken. The stock has been so strong. So it's definitely one to watch.
Yeah, and chip stocks have definitely been showing signs of life. We're going to look at another one in just a little bit, but Rambus doesn't get a whole lot of attention, even though this company's technology is front and center in data centers. So they basically have chip technology that helps data centers run faster and all that. So Rambus has got the fundamentals here. It's got the big revenue growth, and really like the way the stock has held gains after this nice move. Now, if you go to the weekly chart, it is a good example of what a 3 weeks tight pattern looks like, and that's a way that a stock shows strength after a bullish move, and that's exactly what Rambus did when it reported earnings. See how it moved sideways, didn't give up much ground. So like the way this is trading, and overall the action in chip stocks is looking good. If we can get some continued outperformance from chip stocks, that could help buoy the NASDAQ here. I think you're on mute.
Next on our list, let's take a look at PODD. Sorry about that. That is Insulet. We're seeing a 3 weeks tight here too, Ken, although not a perfect one since even though we did get some tight closes, the spreads of those first 2 weeks of the 3 weeks tight were maybe a little wild, but this is another stock that has been able to hold the bulk of its gains after a strong move on earnings. So actually, in some ways, from a price action perspective, a bit of a similar setup, except this one did come closer to its 21-day line.
Yeah, and the diabetes stocks continue to look pretty good here. We actually have Dexcom DXCM on the leaders list right now, and so both of these stocks are acting very well. Similar looking technical patterns. Now, Insulet, this is a company that makes a basically a continuous insulin delivery system for diabetics. What I like here is that it was generally a low volume pullback to a buy point here. I don't think by definition, yeah, it's a 3 weeks tight pattern, but very erratic, very volatile. I think Rambus is a much better looking pattern in terms of the 3 weeks tight. But this, it just pulled back down to that buy area, which stocks do a lot. Probably just past the 5% buy zone here, but it's trading well. And for people that want some diabetes exposure, this looks like a good name right along with Dexcom.
Yes, looking interesting. Yeah, I know I noticed Dexcom trigger an alert, a trend line alert or a price alert that I had set. But at that time, it didn't quite have the volume, but it looks like volume did pick up by the end of the day nicely.
It did, so. Yeah, very impressive. Dexcom found its way on leaderboard with an earnings call option. We exercised using a 105 strike price. So this is a nicely profitable position here. So don't sleep on the diabetes stocks. Dexcom and Insulet are still acting quite well here.
All right, and KLAC, another chip stock, but this is in the semi-equipment group, also with a strong move today, up over 5%. Volume was strong behind this move as well, and it was good to see it pause here a little bit after getting back above its moving averages, including that 200-day line a couple of weeks ago, and it's now approaching that round number at 400.
Yeah, and I would call this a breakout. I think that 392.50 pivot is an actionable entry point here, and you can see KLA closed just over 393 today. So volume was impressive. This is the type of technical setup that we want to look at when the market is gaining momentum and the uptrend is gaining traction here. So I think KLA gave a buy signal today, closed just above that entry, and again, just encouraged, by all the positive action in a lot of chip stocks, not from the names that you hear about all the time, like Intel and Texas Instruments, but a lot of, names that may not be familiar. So KLA looking good today as well.
Yeah, and some tight closes over the last couple of weeks for this one too, before it moved higher today. All right, well, that is it for today's show. Thanks so much, everyone, for tuning in. We will be back with more tomorrow morning on IBD Live, so make sure you join us, investors.com/IBD Live, for all the details on our daily morning live stream starting 10 minutes before the opening bell and running for the first 90 minutes of the trading session, where we're able to answer some audience questions throughout the show, talk about actionable trade ideas, portfolio management strategies, and so much more. So we hope you check it out, investors.com/IBD Live. Thanks, Ken, and thanks everyone for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.